All right,
Do you
Boker
trust, do you
Tov.
trust me
All
to
right.
take a time?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Boker Tov, everybody. Good Chodesh. We are today's daf is Daf Zion. As I said, it's June 7th. Link to the daf. There you go. We appreciate the creators of the English
We're not
calendar.
going to get June 82nd.
All right. So anyway, we pick up at the very bottom of Vav Mitzvah, and for the next three dapim, 3 dapim, we are going to be a little bit leaving strictly the discussion of Nizikin and focusing specifically on the last line of the Mishnah, which is Meitav and payment from the best of the land. So what we were introduced first was a debate of Rabbi Akiva and Rabbi Yishmael, when the Torah says, Torah is talking specifically about Shein V'Regel, at least the way Chazal understand it, and it says that you pay Meitav Sadeu, Meitav Karmo. You pay the best. So what does that mean? So the way the Gemara is framed, Rabbi Akiva says Meitav Demazik, and Rabbi Yishmael says Meitav Denizak. The way the Gemara explained it is, everybody agrees that you're not going to pay more than you owe, but what is the land that you pay from? People would much rather have $100 worth of grade A land than $100 worth of grade C land. So therefore, Rabbi Akiva, so that's why you pay from your grade A land.
That's only if you pay for
Except,
land.
right, that's paying for land. We're going to get to that today. What happens if you pay in cash or if you pay in chattel? Okay, but we're going to get to that. Rabbi Akiva says it is the best that the Mazik has, and Rabbi Yishmael says it is the best that the Nizak has. You find something comparable in the land of the Mazik. If the Mazik does not have something comparable, he only has something worse or better, then you get an upgrade. Okay, but you start with the best of the Nizak, not with the best of the Mazik. That's the debate. Now we pick up at the bottom of Vav Mitzvah to unpack the last line of what Rabbi Akiva said in that Breita, which was Kal v'chomer behekdesh. Okay, and certainly with for hekdesh. So we pick up the following. Rabbi Akiva Omer. It is 7 lines from the bottom on Vav Mitzvah. Rabbi Akiva Omer. Rabbi Akiva says, "Lo ba'al kasavel ligvosu nezikin mina idis." The Torah is only coming to tell you when it says Meitav that when you're coming to collect from Nizikin, and I'm going to get to that in a minute, but actually no, let me get to that right now, which is all types of damages. Even though the Torah is talking about Shein and Regel, you might remember that we said a day or two ago, Kulan ke'avos l'shalem mimeitav. Okay, Tachas Nesina Yishalem Kesef. All right, we have this big Zera Shava, and we learn out, first of all, from Shein and Regel to the other Arba Avos Nezikin, that all of them pay with Meitav. And then from key words, Tachas Nesina Yishalem Kesef, we learn out that any type of collection of damages, whether it's Ganav or Goslin or a Shomer or any of these, big categories that are Arba Avos about Sheret, Ripli, Boshes, all types of damages are Mimeitav. Okay, so what Rabbi Akiva says is, "Lo ba'al kasavel ligvos l'nezikin mina idis." All type of collection of damages is going to be from the best. And now the line that we're going to focus on for a little bit, v'kal v'chomer lehekdesh. And certainly when it comes to hekdesh, if it's true about a lay person, it's certainly true about hekdesh. So the Gemara says, "My kal v'chomer lehekdesh." What does that mean? We owe hekdesh money. So if when we owe a lay person money, he collects damages from Meitav. When we owe hektish damages, the hektish will collect from us from Meitav. So what would be the case we would owe hektish damages? One of our oxen gores a hektish ox. Okay, the Gemara says, what do you mean Meitav? You don't pay anything in that case. It says if one ox gores the ox of your neighbor's ox, and not hektish's ox. Your neighbor means a lay person like yourself. So if your ox scores hektish's ox, you don't pay. Now, you don't pay anything. I'm just going to pause for a second. That's fine. That's about an ox scoring an ox. But there's Rabbi Akiva said, the shalim l'nezikin mina idis. There's a lot of other damages.
Burn hektish's field.
Right, let's say burn hektish's field. Let's say let's come up with some other cases. A hektish ox falls into my well. Any of the types of nezikin. Why? So fine, ox, you're exempt. So Tosfos basically says, he quotes Yerushalmi, and he says from this Gemara it's clear, from the Yerushalmi it's clear, that somehow we learn out from the case of Shur, and there's also a similar pasuk by Bor, and then we do as whatever, and then we apply it to Adam, and through a certain series of steps, we basically say that this is true about all damages. All damages, if you damage Hektish's property, you are exempt from payment. Now, he does say that if you are an Adam HaMazik and you do it intentionally, at least rabbinically, you'll have to pay.
Meaning if I burn down the field.
If you burn down their field, right, that's not even age. That's like koho, that's yadayim. Maybe we'll talk about that when we get to age. Okay, you tear up their, you steal their money or whatever. Okay, he says, but stealing also might be a little different. Anyway, but basically, it says from this Gemara it's clear, from other Gemaras, that this is not limited to goring the oxen. you are technically exempt in all cases of damages of Hekdish's property, which is like shocking, right? You think Kal V'chomer, right? All right. So the Gemara says, but if that's true, then you're never going to be, Hekdish is never going to be collecting Mina Idis. So, Ella, so here would be the case, the Gemara says. So you owe money. It's not the real case of, thank you, it's not a real case of damages. You owe money. You would say you obligate yourself to give $100 to the Beis HaMikdash. So the Gizba would come and he would collect, and he collected from the best of your land. That's if you didn't pay cash. So the Gemara says, 1 minute, that shouldn't be true. Lo Yehei Al Chov, then you're just a normal, debtor. It's not damages, it's a debt. Ubal Chov b'beinonis, and Hektish is the creditor. Ubal Chov means the creditor. Hektish is the creditor, and the creditor is only entitled to collect from beinonis. Now, you might have said maybe Hektish is better, but maybe Akiva said Kal V'chomer leHektish. He said whatever is true by Hedud is certainly true by Hektish. He didn't say Hektish was better. He said Hektish was at least as good, was as good. Okay, so, and anyway, this might follow the principle before, like we said earlier also, that we don't want to assume that things don't work within our normal system unless we're normally forced to. Okay, so can't be you owe Hektish money, that would be bainless. It can't be damages, you're never liable damages for Hektish. So what's the case? So the Gemara says, top of Zayin Amud Aleph, oh, well, maybe it's still that you just owe them money, but maybe he holds that even for a layperson, if you owe somebody money, you give them, and they're collecting land, they collect the best land, and therefore he's saying if that's true about a layperson, it's true about Hektish. So the Gemara says, no, Ikla Mifrach. You can't even make that Kal V'chomer, because since we've already established that you don't owe damages to Hektish, so there goes any Kal V'chomer. Clearly, your sense of liability to Hektish is less. So you can't make even a Kal V'chomer. Even if it was true that you'd have to pay a layperson a debt, you'd have to pay them be'idis. You could not prove the best quality. You could not prove that would be true by Hektish. Okay, when you're paying a layperson a debt, maybe you would pay them with the best because they have all this power when it comes to damages, that you owe them money and you pay the best. Tomer behektish, how am I entitled to assume it's the same type of payment to Hektish for a debt? Shehura kocho b'nezikin. Hektish is very disadvantaged when it comes to damages. They don't collect anything. Okay, so now that we've established, we have two big questions here. Number one is you're never paying Hektish damages, and number two is goodbye any Kal V'chomer, because Hektish is really a weaker when it comes to these issues. So what the heck is Rabbi Akiva talking about? So the Gemara says, "La'olam dinagach tardi dan l'tar Hektish." Fine. Back to what we said before. Our ox scores Hektish's ox. When you were bothered, your neighbor's ox, Hektish, and not a Hektish's ox. Rabbi Akiva Savala Reb Shimon ben Asya. He doesn't read the pasuk that way. He holds like Reb Shimon ben Asya, Titania. Reb Shimon ben Asya, Omer. Reb Shimon ben Asya says, "Shor shel Hektish, another shor shel Hektish patur." If their ox scored our ox, Hektish is exempt. Hektish has indemnity from any damages. Okay. Shor shel Hektish, another shor shel Hektish. If our ox scores their ox, so in that case, bein tam bein mud mishalim, there's a shalim. Not only are we liable, but we have to pay full damages. Okay, and this is the way Rabbi Akiva reads, Reb Shimon ben Asya reads it. Ki gachshor, he says shorei eyu, right? So umachruta shor chay v'chatu es kaspo. When it's your neighbor's ox, you pay half. Okay, when it's however Hektish's ox, okay, Hektish is not shor ish and it's not shorei eyu. Right, so the pasuk is talking about when a layperson's ox scores a layperson's ox. Shor ish shorei eyu, you pay half. If it's Hektish's ox, it's not half. What is it? If a Hektish ox does the goring, it's zero. If, however, if it's our ox scoring Hektish's ox, it's also not half. What is it? Full. Okay, so actually reading it in a way which makes sense from a position that you want to, of course, give advantage Hektish within these laws. So that's going to guide us to read that, yes, when Hektish's ox is involved, it is not the standard law. But in the way that gives Hektish the advantage. If Hektish is the gorer, fully exempt. If Hektish is the goree, then we're fully liable even the first 3 times. So therefore, once you say that, you say that you're liable when you do damages to Hektish. And you certainly have a Kal V'chomer, because you're even liable in some cases of a goring ox, you're liable even more. So now, according to Reb Shimon ben Asya, if you're going to pay best idis when you owe damages to a layperson, you're certainly going to pay idis when you owe damages to Hektish. 1 minute. Okay. Now, Ihachi says, if that's true, Rabbi Yishmael, Rabbi Akiva, I'll take your questions in a minute. We might be idis to nizak because he goes to mazik pligi. If Rabbi Akiva is introducing this idea that you owe damages to Hektish and that you pay the best, why are we so certain that the debate of Rabbi Akiva and Rabbi Ishmael is about whether you figure out best based on the damager or the damagee? Let's suggest a completely different read of the whole debate. Maybe everybody agrees you pay based on the damagee. Okay, maybe they're really debating about something completely different. They're not debating about the quality of land that you pay. Maybe they're debating about whether you owe money to Hektish when you damage Hektish. Okay, the issue of Reb Shimon ben Menashe. So of course it doesn't read at all in the language, which is what the Gemara is going to say. Ihachi says Rabbi Akiva Savar Reb Shimon ben Menashe. Rabbi Akiva's big chiddush is that you pay damages to Hektish. And Rabbi Ishmael says no, but maybe they're not debating at all the quality of the land you pay with. So it's a bizarre question. Clearly, that's not true. The Gemara says no. In Cain, my loba kosov. What is it? When Rabbi Akiva says the pasuk is coming to tell you that you pay mina idis. Kal v'chomer lehektish was the second statement. Clearly, Rabbi Akiva's first point is to emphasize that you pay from the best quality land of the mazik. Clearly, the hektish thing is an afterthought. It's the second point. The ode, my kavachomer lehektish, which is the same type of point. It's kavachomer lehektish means that's the second point that I'm making, right? But my basic issue that I'm focusing on in debating with Rabbi Ishmael is what is the nature of the payment, all right? The ode, Hamar Ravashi, Tanya Behedin. Anyway, Ravashi says it has an explicit breita. Meitav sadeu, meitav karmi yishalem, meitav sadeu shel nizak, umeitav kamo shel nizak, diva Rabbi Ishmael, Rabbi Akiva omer meitav sadeu shel mazik. It goes by the mazik, not the nizak. So the reason the Gemara pushed it a little bit is if you go back to the bright that we did yesterday and look, Rabbi Akiva never said meitav sadeo shel mazik. He says lo ba'akasav el lidvos mina idis. Okay, which is like okay. Rabbi Ishmael also says mina idis. It's just Rabbi Ishmael said the idis of the nizak. What did you add, Rabbi Akiva? So that's why the Gemara was exploring a little bit. Maybe he's not really arguing on how do you define idis. Maybe his whole chiddush was the second part of his statement. But Gemara says no. It sounds like he has a first point to be making before he gets to hektish. And the Breita says explicitly that the first point that Rabbi Akiva is making, irrespective of the hektish question, is that you figure it based on the mazik, not the nizak. So hektish is a second discussion, but the major debate is mazik versus nizak. And in addition, says the Gemara, Rabbi Akiva actually holds that you have to pay hektish for damages, and you're going to pay them the same way you would pay the hedya. Now there are questions. I'll do it in the order I saw the hands. Charlie.
This is an unusual ordering of the rabbis. Rabbi Shimon ben Menashe is actually after Rabbi Akiva.
Right, of course.
And then we jump 300 years ahead to Rav Ashi.
Right. So, I mean, Rav Ashi has some issue. But anyway, Rav Ashi is just teaching a price. So he's not teaching his own thing. But yeah, the Gemara is saying that when Rabbi Akiva holds like Rabbi Shimon ben Menashe, not mean he's following Rabbi Shimon ben Menashe. He means he's anticipating Rabbi Shimon ben Menashe. It's just an articulation of an idea that we say has to be what Rabbi Akiva is assuming, which is really true. It sounds like that. Yeah. Rabbi Akiva is saying, Kal v'chomer, you pay hektish damages. So presumably he's saying you could be paying hektish damages. Now, by the way, it's also possible that Rabbi Akiva would say sort of against the point that Tosis is making. He might agree that when it comes to goring oxes, you don't pay. He just might think that all other damages you pay. The Gemara is making an assumption that if you don't pay by goring oxes, you don't pay by hektish at all. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
So they would still agree that you still have the concept of short niskal by hektish, right?
Yes. That's a different issue, but that's not a payment issue. Yeah, Rabbi Go.
Would you say that Rabbi Akiva's opinion is more closer to a kanas than in other words?
No, why?
Because if you pay according to the Edith of the mazik, that's not what he damaged.
He also didn't damage the Edith of the nizak. You're not paying more than you owe. You're just giving him a payment of something that is easily, that easily can be easily liquidated. That can easily be,
Don't you think it's a bigger bite? Don't you think it's more injurious to the mazik for him to have to pay out?
Might be, but look at the poor Nizak. The poor Nizak lost his property, so why shouldn't you give him something that's easily convertible rather than something that's harder to convert? I mean, I do agree that it is being harsher than a normal. That's the chiddush. Look, the pshat of the psukim is that in a particular case, which Chazal read it as shein v'regel, but a lot of Pashtanim say that it basically means a willful, intentional burning down of somebody's field. It sounds like in a particular case, you're going to get a heavy burden of meitav sadeu. What the Gemara does is it says, first of all, that's not a heavy case. It's a normal shein v'rekel. Second of all, it's true about everything. So when it's true about everything, you can't read it as a knas. But it also therefore reads that you're not going to pay more than you damage. Meitav sadeh does not mean if you destroy one bad acre, you pay one good acre. It's just the type of property you collect from. So the Gemara sort of turns down the volume on everything. It universalizes it, that it's all types of payments of nezek, but it also means that it's not more than you owe. Now, the fact that you have to give from high quality, okay, the guy's entitled to something that's more easy to convert than something that's harder to convert. But the Gemara certainly does not see this as a knas, by the way, because it universalizes it. Okay, so now the Gemara continues. It says, Rami le Abaye le Rava. Abaye challenged Rava. Meaning Rami actually means more specifically, he threw two contradictory texts together. Okay, so here's what he did. He said, Ksiv, one pasuk says, Meitav sadeh meitav kamma yishale. Meitav in midiach bini lo. Only the best. Vatanya, but a Brisa teaches, Yashiv. It says, Kesef Yashiv li balav. By the case where an ox falls into a well. Money he shall return to the owner, Vameit yellow, and you keep the carcass. Okay? And the Brisa teaches, what does that mean, return money to the owner? L'rabos shava kesef, anything of equivalent value. Remember kiddushin, shava kesef, kekesef. Anything that has value, doesn't even have to be cash. Can be popcorn, can be paper clips. Okay, afilu subin, even like subin bran. Okay, so you can pay him in pennies and paper clips or whatever. It doesn't have to be made of. So how do you reconcile this? I'm going to
versus anything
exactly. I'm going to ruin the surprise. We're going to spend the whole daf figuring it out. But since we mentioned it before, and since it really seems somewhat a pretty transparent answer, or maybe it's only transparent once you know the answer. Anyway, is the difference is whether it's land or it's not land. Land has to be the best. Land is hard to convert. It's hard to sell. You want to really wait till you get the right price and so on. And chattel is seen as relatively easy to convert. And therefore, any type of chattel, even if it's not cash, even if it's paper clips, that's okay. So if you want to pay in movable objects, you can pay in anything. If you want to pay in land, you have to pay from the best. Actually, an interesting story. I was going to check it up, but I forgot. But I remember hearing many, many years ago. Do people remember, those old fogies here, people remember the shopping channel? Maybe they still have that. I don't know. They still have the shopping channel? Anyway, that they get on and they just hawk random crazy items. Yep. Apparently it got started because there was this one company that some other company was going out that owed them $10,000, but they were basically declaring bankruptcy and going out of business. So they just paid them with their inventory, and they paid them with forget what it was, blenders or something like that. They actually did that. So they said, what are we going to do with $10,000, $100,000 worth of blenders? So they basically did something took a TV slot and basically auctioned it all off, and then they realized, hey, we can make money doing this. So that's how the shopping channel got started, apparently. Anyway, so just to show you that you could actually, if you have access to mass media, right, in a little town, I'm not sure that works. But anyway, you can convert chattel more easily than you can convert land.
Land you can't take to the next town. Chattel, if you don't find local buyers.
That's also a good point. Right, you can also move it somewhere else. Right, right. So it's not just that the price is hard. It's harder to get the right price, but it's exactly that. It's restricted to who's going to buy it, as opposed to, of course, there are shipping costs and there's labor costs in terms of getting it to the next town that's going to buy it. But anyway, that's the assumption that chattel we're not as makbid that it be of a certain quality because of those issues. Yes, Charlie.
Because all may have stumbled onto an eternal truth that high quality property is easy to sell and low quality property can't be sold for any price. Compare real estate in Seattle versus Detroit.
Yeah, exactly. When it's in a bad location, then it's never going to get. Okay, so good. So now that we know the answer, let's figure out how we're going to get there. So Abaye doesn't know the answer right away. So Abaye says like this: low kasha. So the Gemara is going to have a few other answers before it gets to this one. That's not difficult. So the first thing the Gemara says is that the difference is the property being seized, or are you basically paying of your own volition? If you pay up of your own volition, anything I choose to pay, you have to take. Okay. Whereas if you had to get a court order to come and seize my property, and I made you go to court and get the court, and I sort of, impose that burden on you, then you're entitled to take whatever you can find. It's up to you, and you can take the best. You're entitled to take the best. Okay. So that's a reasonable distinction. So the Gemara says like this: Kami daido kamba al karcho. Amar ula braid Rav Eli tikanami. Oh, maybe that's even to be read into a close read of the pasuk. The verse says Yishalem. as opposed to yashiv. Yashiv, to return, suggests it's on your own initiative. So if it's on your own initiative, you can give anything. But yishalem can be read as shall pay, like shall be made to pay. So that's when it has to be the best quality, when it's ba'al karcho. Amalei Abai, so Abai resisted this answer. Miksiv yishulam, shall be paid up, right? Which means against your will. Yishalem ksiv, he will pay. Midato mashma, maybe yishalem also means on your own initiative you'll pay up. So I'm not sure I can read that into the pasuk. Now, of course, just because you can't read it in the pasuk, it's not so meduyak, doesn't mean it's a wrong answer. It's still a reasonable answer. But Abaye is not happy. Abaye is Abaye wants a different answer. So Elamar Abaye Kidamar. No, maybe here's the way to explain what is the difference between when you get the best and when you can pay and when you can even do the worst. Like what the master Rabbi teaches. Titania, we turn to Brisa.
So yeah, he's answering his own question.
He's going to answer his own question, but we're going to reject it anyway. Okay, somebody has a lot of land, a lot of property, houses and fields and vineyards, and he is not able to sell them, right? It's a bad market. He would have to sell them at a significant loss. And what's the case? This is in the context of Meiser Ani. You only give Meiser Ani, right? The Meiser you give on the 3rd and 6th year to somebody who's an Ani. Okay, what constitutes an Ani? An Ani is somebody who has less than 200 zuz. Now, like the value of a ksuva. Okay, now, I'm sorry, not only Meiser Ani, it's also Leka Chikrin Peah, all of the gifts to the poor, and Meiser Ani. Now, what if somebody has his, net worth is 200 zuz, but he has zero liquid assets? It's all, it's all sort of invested in real estate or whatever. And if he would have to liquidate any of it, right, he would have to take a very serious loss. Is that person entitled to collect Maaser Ani? Now, there's two ways of thinking about this and two very different ways of reading the text in front of us. I'm going to read it Rashi's way, but I'll just tell you.
So he's asset rich and cash poor.
Asset rich and cash poor. Thank you very much. That's for the right language for that. Okay, so there's two very different ways of reading this text. I'm going to tell you, or maybe Tosfos has even 3rd and 4th way. I'm going to tell you the two major ways, and then we're going to focus on one of them. One way of reading this text is, I am going to give you Maaser Ani as a Rahmanis to you to hold you over until you can sell the stuff at a better, at a reasonable price. Okay, so really the reason I'm giving it to you is not so much because you're an Ani and you're entitled to it. Like you might have, 1,000 zuz worth of property there, but it's just to save you from a significant financial loss. Like you right now have to, you need cash. You can't, you would have to. So it's an interesting idea that I could give you Maaser Ani to save you. It counts as Maaser Ani because you're cash poor, right? Even though you're really not poor at all, but it's to save you from a significant financial loss. Okay, that's one way of reading this. Rashi, that's Tosfos' way, a way that Rashi reads it and then he sort of rejects it. The way that Rashi prefers to read it and the way we're going to read it is, no. The question is just whether I consider your net worth to be 200 zuz based on current financial realities. The fact that you would have to lose money because you needed cash, that doesn't make you a poor person to be entitled to Maaser Ani. But here's the question. You have property worth 200 zuz. But in today's financial climate, given the current realities right now, you would only be able to sell it for 100 zuz. If you would wait out the tide, right, wait a couple of months or whatever, you'd be able to get 200 zuz. But right now, it's only worth 100 zuz. Are you now rich or poor? Are you entitled to collect Maaser Ani? You hear the difference. The difference is not I'm giving it to you to save you from a financial loss. It's do I assess your net worth based on how much the property generally is worth, or how much you would have to get, how much you would get for it right now. Okay, so that's the way Rashi is going to read it, and that's the way we're going to read it. Right.
So this is the kind of the crux of my whole difficulty with the Yiddish Ziburius and Balanis thing. It's like, what does that mean that it's ultimately worth 200?
Well, that's what the Gemara is going to ask. Well, let's see. That's essentially. I understand. What do you mean? It's generally worth. Market, the market is always changing. It was worth, but yesterday's not tomorrow. Right. Exactly. So that's exactly what the Gemara is going to ask. Okay.
So let's yeshiva financial aid calculation. Do you look at how much you have in the bank? Or do you,
Okay. So let's take a look at what the Gemara says. And you cannot sell them at the normal market price. You give him Maaser Ani till half. Again, the way Rashi reads that, it means that that you are willing to basically. Oh, let me just double check Raj, make sure I'm getting this right. Right. So Rashi says like this. We are willing to, if there is basically, here's also part of the point. It's sort of like what Charlie was saying before about Denver. Let's say there's no market price for it. Nobody's interested in buying it. Mm-hmm. How much do we assess its current value to determine if you're an ani or an ashir if there's no market for it right now? So what the answer is ad mechza. We assess its value at half the normal rate when there is a market for it. Again, how do I know what the normal rate is? We know what the normal rate is a good question. But assuming this property normally goes for $100 an acre, land, what do you call it? The farmland in Kansas normally goes for $100 an acre. But right now we're in a terrible financial downturn and nobody is buying any land. How much do we assess your net worth to determine if you have 100 zuz or 200 zuz based on your land? And the answer is ad mechza. If there's no market for it and we can't assess a price value, we will determine its value at half of what we determine is the normal rate, and then we will determine if it's signing it at half, you have 200 zuz, then you don't get maser on it. If you have under half, you get less than 200 zuz, we can still give you maser on it. Okay.
So 200 zuz is, so basically the same thing as a ketubah then, right?
Yeah.
So here we have an interesting situation where someone who is receiving Maser Ani is chayav in leket and peah to other poor people.
That's an interesting question. That could be true also if you have less than 200 zuz. Okay. Anyway, so that's the point. Okay.
The whole comparison to Maser Ani is different than the Zikin in that in the Zikin, the Maser Ani we have an arbitrary amount, right? And it would seem to me that the 200 zuz must represent something like purchasing power for, to keep you...
Right, for like a year. Like a year's salary is essentially what 200 zuz is.
But
a year's expenses.
That's arbitrary and also changeable, much like land.
Right. So we're not going to... You'll see the comparison is not going to be a direct... Value, right, you're right. The comparison is not going to be direct. It's really just to borrow the scenario that Rabbi uses to explain this breita. So let's hold off and see what the Gemara does with this, okay? But anyway, that's the way Rashi reads it. We have to figure out how much your net worth is. And when nobody is willing to buy any of the property, so we assess it at half of its normal value, okay? Machilin ad mechza. Okay, v'havi b'mar, and the master asked, hey, now what Rashi says ad mechza means is, let me also explain this. Let's say therefore your property normally would go for 200. Now we assess it at 100. How much maser ani can we give you? So here's a question. Normally, right, if there's actually a story like this in a Gemara that somebody had 199 zuz, okay? So if that type of a person, if he bumps into you and says, please give me maser ani, you can give him 1,000 zuz worth of maser ani because at the moment you give it to him, right, he only, he's an ani. Okay, but if you first give him 1 zuz of Meiser Ani, he can't go to the next guy and get any more because now he's no longer an Ani. All right, so and there's a whole story in the Gemara about that. Like somebody basically lent him a dinar and whatever, ruined his opportunity. Anyway, whatever. So what the way Rashi reads this is your value now went down to 100 because there's no market for your $200 worth of land, your 200 zuz worth of land. I can give you up to $100 of Maser Ani, but not more. So let's see what's going to bother the Gemara with this. The Gemara says like this: Hey Chidami, what's the case? The master Rabbi asked, Hey Chidami, what's the case? If everybody's land has depreciated, including yours, give him more than 100. Meaning, right now he only has his net worth is 100. He's an ani. So in one gift, you can give him as much as you want. Why are you only giving him up to 100? Right now, he's an ani. Give him as much as you want, at least as in one gift. Okay? Nami lisfile. The hazul duchleam nami. Everybody's land is less, so that's his status. His status is an unequivocal ani, and therefore he should be able to get as much as you want to give him in one gift. Ella, the ukirasa duchleama. Everybody else's land is of a high value. And his is of a low value. Why would that be? That his is of a lesser value than it normally is. Because he is desperate for money. That's the phrase of Kamma. He's going in and out for money. He's desperate for money. People can buy his land at a bargain. Okay, so everybody else can wait it out. and they'll get their price if they, give it the normal 3 months it takes to get your price. But this guy is desperate for money. People know he's desperate for money, and therefore he's going to have to sell at a loss. And therefore the question is, so is he really an ani? Technically he does have $200 of assets, $200 of assets. It's just that he's desperate, so he's gonna get taken advantage of a little bit. But that doesn't stop him from being an ani. I mean, that doesn't mean that he doesn't have $200 of assets. Technically, he's still rich. Of course, you would think in that case you have more rachmanis on him, help tide him over. Okay, but anyway, this is the way Rashi is reading the Gemara. So if that's true, if everybody's land, including his, is really worth the normal price and really worth 200 zuz, just because he's desperate right now does not change his status and make him into an ani. Afilu porsanami lo lisfila. You shouldn't give him anything. He has 200 zuz worth of assets. The fact that he has to sell it for less because he's desperate does not change the fact that, objectively speaking, he has 200 zuz worth of assets.
Okay. When you read that in, so everyone
else's land is at the normal value, and he has to sell at a loss because he's desperate.
But it'll
for money.
Still be worth 200.
No, and because of that, it goes under 200. But the Gemara says, but that shouldn't entitle it to be considered under 200. Just because he's desperate does not mean that objectively his assets are worth less than 200. Objectively, his assets are worth 200. If he weren't desperate, he would get $200 for it. So the fact that his particular circumstances make him desperate does not mean that objectively he has less assets. Yes, his assets are worth less.
Meaning it'd be estimated by an independent appraiser at least 200, but practically it would not be worth 200.
Exactly. Right. An appraiser comes and says it's worth 200, but he needs the money desperately by tomorrow, and he's going to have to sell it at 50%, just to get it off his hands within the next day. That doesn't mean that he doesn't have 200 zuz. That just means he's desperate and he's going to sell stuff for less than it's worth.
So you read the last line in Amud Aleph with the question mark, right? That's Zalari, just because he's desperate?
No. Zalari, because he is desperate, his land is worth less. But if that's true, if he's going to get less just because he's desperate, that doesn't mean that objectively it's worth less. And I feel important.
So really, his land really isn't worth
less. He's just going to sell it for less than it's worth.
So it's a subjective reality.
Yeah, exactly.
Everybody in town knows he needs money, so they're lowballing.
Right, exactly. Okay,
Which is why you're right.
Right, which does not mean that objectively his assets are worth less. It just means that he's going to get taken advantage of right now. So so the Gemara says, so what is the case? If he genuinely is an ani, if objectively everybody's land is worth this amount of money, and objectively he's an ani, then you can give him as much as you want in one gift. It shouldn't be limited. If objectively he's an usher, just because his particular circumstances mean he's going to have to take a loss, then he's still an usher and he shouldn't be entitled to anything. So the Gemara says, "V'amar mar Allah," and the master Rabbi explained it the following way: "Lo tzricha, you need to be for the following case: to be Yomi Nisan Yakra Arasa, ubiyomi Tishrei Zal Arasa." During the spring, that's when the land is going at a premium because all the farmers, they want to buy their land in the spring in order to have time to get ready to do the planting and preparing of it. That's like that's the best time to take possession of land in order to plan for the next agricultural cycle. But if you buy it in the fall, it's like you're too late to get everything in place for this year. You needed to be preparing the land and planting it or whatever. So if you're buying land in the fall, that's when it's not ideal for the farmers to own the land, and therefore you'll buy its value is much less.
So that's for everybody.
That's for everybody. Okay, Zala Rasa. The Kuleyama, so normal people who want to sell land, not Riyad Nisan. You wait until Nisan. You wait until the spring to sell it at a premium.
That's what people do now. The market.
Right.
They look stuff in the spring.
You mean real estate? That's like
everyone comes out to look for a
So actually, I got to read you this great Tosfos. Look at Tosfos. Yomi Nisan Yakri Arasa. Tosfos says, "Im Tomer Hatenach Sados K'Pirsha Countries L'Fi Shiyachosh B'Kayetz V'Yizrei B'Marcheshvan." Right. So of course the fields you want to buy in the spring because you're going to plow in the summer and plant in the fall. So you have to buy the fields. Right, that's true. You have to buy the fields in the spring. You buy them in the fall, and it's too late. Okay? Ela batim, but if it's houses, because remember it said batim sadus achramim. It also mentioned houses. Batim, my chiluk yesh bei nisan l'tishrei. What difference does it make? Yeah, because
seasonal markets.
What?
It's a seasonal
market. Right, seasonal market. Houses go up. Presumably, also maybe if that's when the seasons sort of change, and that's when like you're planting next year, it's sort of like, I think, like, I don't jobs, a lot of that happen like around September time. People switch jobs, whatever, because also linked to the school year. No?
Well, it depends. Depends what you're in. Some people like go like after March when they don't like their bonuses.
Oh, I see. Whatever. Okay. Whatever it is. Okay. So there's also a seasonal market for houses. So normal people, if you have the luxury, you wait till the market is at its height and then you sell. The high, and this guy, since he needs cash, he's going to have to sell based on the current market value. Now, that means, though, it's not just because he's desperate, people are taking advantage of him, which makes it totally subjective. This is the value right now, but normal people don't sell at this time of year. But at this time of year, it's only worth $100 an acre, not $200 an acre. That's the objective value right now. But normal people would wait till it was worth more. Okay? So, he'll have to sell at the current value. Ad palga until half, if you have to take a loss of lose 50% of what you would have got if you had sold at Nissan or Chelameso. Then that's the normal amount that it depreciates between Nissan and Tishrei. Today, more than half, Lav or Chelameso is not the normal amount to depreciate. Okay, so that's how he describes the scenario. And therefore, how does he explain this case? You're a guy, you have land worth 200 zuz, but right now it's Tishrei, you're cash poor. How much is your land worth? So what we will say is, we will assess your land, we cannot assess it at less than half its value, because anything less is not considered a normal value for that land, right? If it's worth 200 in Nissan, then we were not prepared to assume it's worth less than 100 in Tishrei. But we will go as far down as 100. And therefore, if by reassessing its value based on Tishrei prices, you're an ani, then you're entitled to take Maser ani. Okay, so that's how we explained that case over there. Now Rashi's still a little bit bothered. Fine, but once you're an ani, you can give the guy as much as you want in one gift, like we discussed before. Once a guy's an ani, you can give him as much as you want in one gift. So I says, well, you're sort of an ani and you're sort of not, right? Since in 3 months from now, whatever, since by Nissan you're not going to be an ani. You're only an ani in today's prices, but in tomorrow's prices, you're not going to be an ani. You're in this like middle category where we'll give you Maser ani, but not more that'll go take you over the level of 200. We'll give you Maser ani to bring your net worth up to 200. Okay, so that's the basic case there. Everybody got it? Mm-hmm. All right. So if your subjective realities of being desperate and being taken advantage of don't matter, but the reality that right now at today's prices it's low. But for normal people, if you said to a normal person, how much is this person's assets worth? We would assess it based on Nissan's prices. For you have to assess it based on Tishrei's prices. So that sort of makes you an ani right now, even though in some other 3 different lands, you're not an ani. And therefore, you're entitled to Maser ani, but up to a certain limit. All right, that shot. Now, what does that have anything to do with us? Okay, well, it allowed us to introduce this idea of land that changes value from one time of year to a different time of year. And now we're going to try to use that to explain whether we say Meitav and when we don't say Meitav. So let's take a look. There was a fascinating digression. Okay, and now let's take a look. So the Gemara says like this.
I'm sorry. So does that mean like technically, no one would do this, but technically every 3rd and 6th year, you put your land on the market in Tishrei and you're eligible, or they do a
no, you don't have to sell it. You don't. You have an audit.
It'd be an audit.
Yeah. Now, the Gemara says like this. Here by Nezikin, we would say the same thing. Dine be'idis. The normal rule is Meitav. The Amalei Ihu. Now, but let's say the Nizak says, Havli Beinunis Tfei Porta. You know what? I would prefer, rather than taking 1 acre of Idis, I would prefer taking 1.5 acres of Beinunis, which is the same value. Okay, because that's the whole point. It's worth less per acre. I want a little more Beinunis rather than in terms of the amount of land, but the same value. All right, he's actually asking for the option for Beinunis. Okay, so for whatever reason, he doesn't want, it's neighbors his land. He's got some idea that he doesn't want Edis. He wants Beinunis. Okay, the Amalei Iu Havli Beinunis Tfeiport. The Amalei, so the Mazi can say to him, listen, buddy, Isha Kalcha Kedin Chashkol. If you take if you want to take like the law says, you take Idis, you don't get to choose. Your Torah says Idis, you get Idis. It's funny, the Mazik wants him to take Idis. Kidahashta, based on its current market's value. The low, if you want me to give you an option of doing Beinunis, then I will tell you, fine, you want Beinunis, be my guest. But we're going to assess it based on the highest, the higher seasonal rate, the Nissan rate,
market, not
okay,
the Tishrei market.
So that's when we're basically saying, does it get Idis or does it get Beinonus? We're basically saying it's a bizarre read. It's like you can get Idis or you can get Afilu Subin, but Afilu Subin is actually now. Sort of saying like, why is it Subin? It's Beino. It's Subin because I get to dump it off on you and I get to give it to you at the higher market rate. So that's the Afilu Subin. But it seems very crazy. Like, why do you get to write like? So the Gemara is going to say, really? Maskifla Ravacha Bar Yaakov Im Kain. You're telling me that you're worse off if you collect from the lower property land? The Torah is trying to give an advantage to the person that's damaged and says he gets to collect from the best land. And you're telling him you're not entitled to collect from grade B and C. And if you want to collect from grade B and C, you have to do it at a loss. You have to do it based on a higher market rate. That's crazy. Why should that be the halacha? So Ella Amar Ravacha Bar Yaakov if you want to sort of make a comparison, let's sort of talk about let's think about the case of a creditor, of a Baal Chov. Baal Chov Dine B'Beinonus. A Baal Chov is normally, as we said, entitled to collect grade B land. The Amar Le Havli Zibur Straight Porter. Now let's say he says to the debtor, you know what, I'd rather collect grade C land, but an acre and a half of grade C land. Amar Le, the debtor can say to him, if you want what you're entitled to, grade B, take it current market rate. Below, and if you want me to do you a favor and give you grade C land, fine, I'll give you grade C land, but based on the higher market rates. So it's the same question though. Like, why should he be entitled? Meaning, this case of Rabbi of higher and lower market rates isn't relevant to our case of Nezikin. Our case of Nezikin, clearly the Nizak is given an advantage, right? Meitav Sadeyu, and therefore you should not be disadvantaged by going down a level. But what he seems to say is, but maybe by the Bachov, since the Pasuk is not coming out and saying that you have this strong advantage, it's just a reality. You get grade B. Right? Here's the difference. What he's saying is, by the case of Nizak, the idea that you get the best is explicitly labeled as an advantage. We're giving you an advantage to get grade A. Therefore, you should never get disadvantaged if you want to choose to move down to B or C, to be forced to take based on different market rates. But he said, if you want to think sometimes that might play out, maybe it plays out by Balchov. Because by Balchov, the fact that he gets grade B is just the law. It's not framed as an advantage. That's just the way it is. You get grade B. So maybe if you want anything other than the law, if you want grade C, then maybe, he's entitled to say, fine, we'll use the higher market rates. Here, the difference, in one case, it's framed as an advantage. So you can't be disadvantaged by changing it. Here, it's not framed as an advantage. So here, maybe the guy would say, you want grade C? Be my guest, but we'll do higher market rate. But the Gemara doesn't like that either. The Gemara says, this is terrible policy. Okay, because nobody would lend money. Because I say I never want to not have my cash on me. Why? Because the creditor can say, if I had never lent you the money and I had the cash on me right now, I could have bought your grade C property based on current market rates. Now that I lent you money and I'm trying to just get my money paid back and I want to take your grade C property, which I could have bought at current market rates. I have to buy at market rates that is going to be later. So who's going to ever want to lend money? Okay, so obviously, it's saying is it would make no sense to apply this idea that you can force somebody who's going down a level to take at future market rates. Of course, the obvious next option is, fine, it makes no sense if they want to go down a level. But what if they want to go up a level? Right, then maybe you're entitled to say use later market rates. Let's read the next Gemara. Okay. Now again, this is not to explain our case about Nezikin and Meitav. We're still just talking about when can we use this model of lower and higher market rates, current and future, in some other halacha. Okay, so not in our case of Nezek, but in the following case, in a woman coming to collect her ksuva. Because a woman coming to collect her ksuva is clearly disadvantaged. She collects from grade C. Okay? But that, in terms of what land she collects from, it's not grade A, it's not grade B, she collects from grade C. Okay? So, the Aksusi Shadina Biziboris, she collects from grade C. The Amrla Le Ihi, and now she said to her husband, how the Bainunis, but I'd rather collect grade B, less of grade B, a half of acre of grade B, as opposed to a full acre of grade C. Amrla, then she's asking actually for something more than she's entitled to. In that case, when you're not asking to make it easy, when you're not going down a level, you're going up a level. Amrla, he could say to her, listen, honey, if you want to take my land, then you'll take what the law is. You'll take grade C, Kidahasha, and based on current NACA rate. Below, if you want me to do you a favor and give you grade B land, be my guest, but then I'm going to insist that we use the Nissan's market rates and not today's market rates. That's when you can use this idea of Nissan and Tishrei market rates if somebody is asking for an accommodation. They basically, or not an accommodation, it's not the right word, but some type of a favor, essentially. They want to go to more than a higher quality than they're entitled to. So Tosfos says you could have also said it in the Baal Chov scenario. The Baal Chov says, I don't want grade B, I prefer to have grade A and less of grade A. So in that case, the debtor is entitled to say, fine, I'll give you grade A. I can't just give it an arbitrary huge value. That would be, of course, extortion. But what I can do is I can say, you want grade A, we're going to use Nissan's market rates and not today's market rates. Okay, so that's pretty fascinating, that if somebody wants a certain type of an upgrade, you can sort of choose as the debtor, you can say, I'll give it to you, but I'm going to insist on using the high seasonal rates rather than the low seasonal rates. All right, anyway, that's in terms of applying Nissan and Tishrei. But we still have to go back and answer our question. Is it Meitav or is it Subin? The best or is it brand? Okay, so the Gemara is back to that. Amar Rava. Okay, so the Gemara says like this. Mikol Makom Kasha. Okay, we're still back to square one. What's the answer to our question? Is it the best or is it brand? Okay, so again, the first answer the Gemara rejected, which was quite a nice answer, whether it was given willingly or whether it was being seized, but Abai rejected that. So Amar Rava, so Rava is going to give an answer. Kol Yivle, that is not going to be the final answer. Kol Yivle mimeitav leisivle. Yes, you can give brand, but you have to give your best brand. Okay. Yes, you can give paper clips, but you have to give the best paper clips. Okay? So it has to be meitav, but it could be anything. Okay. But of that genre that you're giving, it has to be the best. So the Gemara says, "Meitav sadeh yuksiv." It's not true. It says best land. Okay. There's no idea of the best brand. Okay. The best paper clips. It's not true. Ella kiyasar Rav Papa Rav Una Braid Rav Yoshua Mibei Rav, when they came from the house of Rav, Pirshua, this is going to be the final resolution. Ko mili meitav, any type of, when it comes to chattel, anything is considered meitav. It's not a contradiction. Chattel is always meitav. Okay, the Elam is benacha, like Doug was saying before. If you can't sell it here, mistabin b'masachrisi, you just transport it to another town. You will always find a market. Like there might be costs associated with finding a market, but anyway, you'll always find a market. So the idea of insisting on a higher quality does not make so much sense on chattel. Lebar me'ara, the one thing that we would not say this is land, because there you can only there's only a small number of people that you can sell it to, and therefore it really, if somebody gets low quality land, then it might be able to completely unusable. So if you have to pay back for damages, you have to give them something that really they could be able to convert and to sell. Okay, there you have to give them of the high quality, in order that purchasers will jump at the opportunity. Okay, so therefore, that's why meitav is only by land. Anything that's chattel does not have to be cash, can really be in any type of property. There's an interesting discussion that Tosfos has in a number of places about what is the story by a loan. Okay, that's when there's a debt that's incurred because of some act or damages or whatever. But if I borrow $100 in cash from you, can I give you back $100 in paper clips? Because you're going to, go sell it somewhere. What do you mean go sell it somewhere? I gave you $100 in cash. I'm entitled to $100 back, okay, in cash. So that's basically the position that Tosfos takes, that when it comes to a loan, actually you gave cash, you're entitled to cash back. The person cannot give you metaltalin and say, go find somebody to sell it. Okay, this idea comes to buy it, excuse me. this idea that you can give even subin by chattel is a case of a debt that is incurred through damages or similar types of things, but not when you took money. If you took cash, you have to pay back cash. Yes.
Isn't this also discussion by Hoel?
Yes, that's a good point, right? By a Tosos has that discussion too, right? Salary. I'm not remembering how Tosos comes out about that, but right, that would be another good point where it's like contracted as
Like,
opposed
can
to
you pay them in pottery that they then have to go sell? For
right.
Well, wait.
Right.
What if it's not contracted?
Well, okay.
What's the fallback position? What's the assumption?
Well, no. Obviously, it's written explicitly in the contract, but I meant that it's a relationship that wasn't agreed upon.
Yes,
right,
yeah.
Right. That's a good question. I forget what Tosos says about that. I have to check and get back to that. Yeah.
Do Bani Denim follow this today with allowing people to pay?
I don't know what Bani Denim do today. All right, let's take a look. But let's get started on the next topic. Bani Minei Rav Shmuel bar Abba me Akunya me Rabbi Abba. So Rav Shmuel bar Abba from this place asked Rabbi Abba, Shushin Shamin. When they assess its value, when they say it's the best, is that a subjective or is that an objective determination? Right? If there's grade A land, but there's triple A land, okay, and the mazik has A and triple A, so if you do by the objective definition of best, so that would be A, or do by the mazik's definition of best, which would be triple A. Okay, you can't say the opposite. The opposite, you could say, let's say it's grade B. Because then, of course, he's going to get B. You can't give more than he has. You understand? So the way to raise the question, subjective or objective, what scenario would be that he has better than what the rest of the world considers to be grade A. If he has worse, only worse, then of course he's not going to give grade A. He doesn't have grade A to give. But let's say he has better than what the world considers to be grade A. Would he give the world's grade A or would he give his best? All right? Kashem Shamin, when they assess the value, B'Shalohim Shamin, based on his property, or based on some objective standard. According to Rabbi Shmuel, there's no question. He says it's the Nizak. So obviously you look at the Nizak's best. It's Meitav Sadehu of the Nizak, right? Rabbi Akiva. The question is Rabbi Akiva that says the Mazik. My Meitav Sadehu Amarachmana Limute de Nizak. When it says his best, it means as opposed to the Nizak. If the Nizak only has bad quality, you pay the general grade A. You don't pay whatever the Nizak's best land is. Odioma, or we say, but it would only be the universal grade A. Odioma, no, Limude Dama Nami. It's excluding even the universal grade A. It's you, the mazik. We identify your prime real estate. Your even Fifth Avenue, Manhattan real estate. And that's what you have to pay. That is way statistically higher than the world's grade A. Okay, but that's what you have to pay. Now, you might have to pay a square inch of it. Fine. But that's what we would determine. Meitav Sadeh Rachmana Amar Meitav Sadehu. It says his best field. Not Amar B'Shel Olamim Shamim. And you want to say it's some universal standard? How more explicit can you get? It says his best field. So his best field means his best field. Okay, we will continue with this tomorrow to see how we come out.
Are you going to deal with that? If you can only sell